We got an interesting one today. Certain names in whiskey evoke immediate interest when attached to a bourbon brand. I think Dixon-Dedman is certainly one of those names, known mostly for the relaunch of his great-great-grandfather's Kentucky Owl brand back in 2014. Dixon's blends, while expensive, were pretty much seen as damn delicious. Of course, the brand was then sold to Stoli back in 2017. Since then, Dixon-Dedman has consulted on other projects, and in 2022, just last year, announced a new company of his own entitled 2XO, standing for 2 times oak, meaning his blends will be primarily secondary oak finishes. Now, the first one, dubbed the Phoenix, was, symbolic of a rebirth, a rising of his new brand. But his next one, the Innkeeper, is next up, number 2. Let's try it and compare it to not only this one, but another favorite double oak that people seem to always go to when they're comparing double oak products. So that's up next on The Mash and Drum. What's up, folks? I'm Jason C. from The Mash and Drum. Welcome back to the show, Whiskey 2 family. Like, subscribe, help grow the channel for 2023. As I mentioned, the first release of 2XO is the Phoenix blend, Kentucky bourbon with a second maturation and newly charred oak. Now, I thought it was good, but not as impactful as I thought it could have been, considering Dixon-Dedman's pedigree, especially for $100. So before we hear about the second iteration called the Innkeeper, let's hear from today's video sponsor. It's the game changer. It is ZBiotics. All right, guys, it's back. It is ZBiotics, today's sponsor. All the great feedback I've gotten from viewers, it's become really the first drink of the night for a better tomorrow. So if you haven't heard of ZBiotics yet, why does it work so well? ZBiotics was developed by some very smart scientists who found out that the real problem is not dehydration. It's actually a byproduct of alcohol, which is most responsible for those rough mornings after drinking. ZBiotics produces an enzyme like the one your liver uses to break down this byproduct. So anytime you think you're gonna have more than a couple drinks, if you're gonna do a bourbon tasting, if you're gonna take a trip down to Kentucky, visiting a bunch of different distilleries, you take ZBiotics and the next day you can wake up, get to work, get back to the gym, whatever it is you do to bounce back faster that very next day. All you have to do is drink one of these about an hour before you start drinking, and that's it. Obviously, still drink water, stay hydrated as always, get a really good night's sleep, but this little game changer will make it a lot easier for you to get out of bed or get off the couch the next day. Best part is there's no random plant extracts, no off-the-shelf ingredients, no sugar added, 100% money back guaranteed if it doesn't work for you, so you might as well give it a try. Here's how. Get 15% off your first order of ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic by clicking the link in the description and using my code MASHANDDRUM at checkout. Again, click the link below in the description and use MASHANDDRUM at checkout to get 15% off your very first order. This is the 6-pack that I always get, but you also have a 12-pack in case you want to share some with your friends as well. So go grab some now, and thanks to ZBiotics and all of you watching for making the sponsors happen. Cheers. All right, so let's talk about the Innkeeper's blend, which is available now. It started dropping everywhere a couple weeks ago. We've already seen some reviews for it. The Innkeeper name is in reference to his family being previous owners of the famous Bourbon Inn on the Kentucky Bourbon Trail. Now, as far as what's in the bottle, the Innkeeper's blend is a blend of mash bills from 2 different unnamed sources. One is a high rye 35% bourbon mash bill, and one a lower rye 16 to 18% bourbon mash bill. That blend is then rebarreled into newly charred American oak at both number 3 and number 4 char levels. It's bottled at a nice 104 proof. It's non-age stated and still priced at $100. So I've been really excited to try this again. I tried it for the first time on my live stream a couple weeks ago. Hoping a little bit of airtime, open it up a little bit. So let's see how it goes. Here we go. Excited for this one. So right in the beginning, I get a lot of chocolate, I get a lot of roasted peanut, and I get a lot of vanilla extract. That is straight off the bat here. A little bit of a dark fruit note, which I'm kind of digging. I'm not sure if that's a, raisin or cherry, something along that line. More of a medicinal cherry though, kind of like a Luden's cough drop, or even better, the Pine Brothers cough drop. Anybody remember Pine Brothers? The cough drops are kind of chewy. I didn't even have a cough. I just ate those like candy. I thought they were delicious. Yeah, brown sugar here, maybe a hint of like a toffee butterscotch note, but it's not really prevalent. It's interesting. It's mostly that nuttiness combined with the vanilla, a little bit of that chocolate note. It's very sweet, a little bit of that dark fruit. So just what I would kind of expect from Dixon Deadman, something that has, you know, some balance to it. So let's give it a try. Here we go. So interesting, the first thing that hit me was spice. I mean, black pepper, allspice, cinnamon, a little bit of clove maybe too, just a lot of spice in the front of the palate. So all that spice then just turns to typical like caramel vanillas that you would get, but it's very spice driven, which is surprising. Maybe it picked up some of those like rich like wood tannins like from the barrel from that second maturation to give it a little bit of spiciness and a little bit of that prickliness that you sometimes get with double oak products. Man, first sip was pretty damn good. It's getting more chocolatey. It's creamy, it's rich. If I remember correctly, this is a nice upgrade over the first blend, which we'll compare in a minute. But I feel like this is exactly what you want in a really good double oak bourbon. You know, you have some really deep, dark, rich sugars, some chocolate, it's velvety on the palate. The one thing I do really like about this is the spice factor that kind of balances out all the sweet. This isn't, oh man, this is reminding me on the nose, guys. When I kind of put my nose up, I get like this Jim Beam Booker's like feel on the nose. If you ever read like any sort of description for Booker's, it mainly says vanilla caramel, you have some oak, and you know, it never really says nuttiness, but obviously that's, you know, that's a typical note you get with Jim Beam, but this is reminding me a little bit of Booker's. So I don't know if there's some Beam in this blend. Obviously, you know, the blend components are undisclosed. But the velvety mouthfeel to this is just incredible. I mean, it's really silky, chocolatey, and again, very spicy and sweet. You know, I hate to keep saying it, but this is what you kind of expect from Dixon. Just a really well-balanced bourbon. All right, let's compare it to the Phoenix blend, and we're also going to compare it to another favorite, Woodford Reserve Double Oaked. So when I reviewed the Phoenix blend last year, a lot of folks said, $100, I'm not going to pay that money for it because I could just get Woodford Double Oaked for $60. And totally agree with you. I totally get it. Obviously, it's whatever you want to spend. It's your price point. I feel like people that have a good trust in Dixon Deadman are more likely to purchase the 2XO releases rather than someone that really enjoys Woodford Reserve. They have been for a long time. You could get this bottle for 50 to 60-ish bucks, you know, which is about half the price, maybe a little bit less than half for a price of the 2XO. So I wanted to kind of combine all three and see which one, just to kind of break them down. Everyone's going to have their own thoughts based on your palate, but I just want to see how I react to it, and you know, maybe I could kind of guide you guys a little bit here. So let's first go to the Phoenix. And on the nose, the Phoenix doesn't even compete. So on the nose, it's already a huge upgrade. That like dark fruit, like cherry, blackberry note that I was getting before is really coming out more, along with that chocolate note and that vanilla frosting, the nuttiness, it's all there. All right, palate on the Phoenix. So the Phoenix also has decent balance and spice to it, but it's far more reluctant to, like, you know, punch you in the mouth than the Innkeeper is. The Innkeeper has just so much more going on versus the Phoenix. So if you bought the Phoenix and you were somewhat disappointed in it, what I can say is that the 2XO, if you had no problem spending the $100 here on the Phoenix, this is a way better buy for $100 because there's a lot more going on with the Innkeeper, in my opinion. It's dense, it's rich, it's sweet. Has a finish on it. Very much reminds me of the Kentucky Owl blends that Dixon did with these long, lingering finishes that just kind of go on for days. The Phoenix does not have that at all. Woodford Double Oaked, here we go. All right, Woodford Double Oaked on the nose, definitely a little bit brighter. I feel like you get a little bit more of like a barbecue smoke note on the Woodford, at least my bottle. I think when you're kind of going back and forth between double oak products, you can get that sometimes. A little bit more, I'm not gonna say barbecue smoke, but more of like an oak char, you know, from that double oaking process. This is way more marshmallowy, which I'm not getting in the 2XO Innkeeper. Whereas this is coming off a little bit more typical what you would get with a double oaked bourbon, We kind of get the marshmallow, the graham cracker. The Innkeeper is just a little bit darker, and again, it's got that nuttiness to it, which is making me think either Beam or Heaven Hill must be in this bottle. Again, I can't say exactly what it's from, but I'm just, you know, just investigating a little bit. I gotta do a little De Niro, a little bit. Yeah, that was terrible. All right, let's try the Woodford Reserve. Now, of course, Woodford Reserve is only 90.4 proof, the double oaked, which is sometimes right where people like it. They don't want to go too much higher than 90 proof. But man, this is still a very sweet, very good option for the money. Extremely sweet, creme brulee, maybe some toasted marshmallow on top. Definitely lighter, not nearly as thick and rich and creamy as the Innkeeper. You know, a lot of people are talking about the, you know, the 13th Colony double oaked and how amazing that is for, you know, 70 to 80 bucks. And I totally get it. But, you know, that is a very, very small release. Obviously, this is a little bit more widespread. It's not as dense and dark as the 13th Colony, obviously, but this is a definite huge upgrade over the Phoenix blend. All right, let's go to the final breakdown for the 2XO Innkeeper from Dixon Deadman. All right, I'm gonna start with price, $100 for this one. Secondary market value, really don't see these too much, but you know, $100 is the max you should see. When it comes to availability, I'm gonna say it's average. I'm not gonna say it's good. It's not everywhere quite yet, but this is available nationwide. So for a smaller brand release, this actually has really good distribution. Value for this one, I'm gonna say is below average. And the reason why I don't say it's even is because we don't know the sources of the whiskeys in here. We have general ages. We don't know where it's being sourced from either. And there's double oak bourbons everywhere, and you can generally find a good amount of them for under $100. Now, are they blended by Dixon Deadman? No, but that's really what makes the difference. What's the most I pay for this one? Right on the money, $100 retail. Alternatives. When it comes to alternatives, there are plenty out there. We just tasted one of them in Woodford Reserve Double Oaked. You have Old Forester 1910, which is a really good double oak product as well. Jim Beam does a double oak. Starlight does a double oak. There's double oaks everywhere to be found. So there are plenty of alternatives if you don't want to pay the money for the 2XO. And finally, is it a skip? Is it a try before you buy? Is it a buy, or is it a buy and back it up? But this one, for $100, Dixon Deadman, this one is right on the borderline between try before you buy or buy, but I'm leaning more towards buy because I think it's really, really good. Now I know $100, some of you are not gonna wanna pay for that, and if you don't, you don't. But if you were disappointed in the Phoenix blend last year, and I know that's what some people will call back to, like, the Phoenix wasn't that great. This is a huge upgrade over the Phoenix. The Innkeeper, I think it's dense, it's dark, it's got a lot of great flavors to it. And I think a lot of people, if you enjoy double oak bourbons, you are not going to be disappointed in this one. Probably one of the better finished whiskeys I've had this year so far. All right, guys, well, hope you enjoyed this review for the 2XO Innkeeper from Dixon Deadman. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that subscribe button below. Please hit the like button. If you haven't yet, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter. If you've had this so far, let me know what you think of it. Do you agree with me? Or is $100 still too much to ask? Always love hearing from you guys. And as I always say, it's not about the whiskey, it's the people you share it with. So cheers. And until next time, I'll see you right here on the Mash and Drum. Cheers.